Can you believe that Katrina has been 20 years ago?
Yeah, in some ways, and then looked like it was just yesterday.
Now, looking back 20 years, what are your most vivid memories?
I guess the most vivid one that come to mind was arriving in New Orleans on a Navy helicopter and circling the Superdome on Wednesday morning. We had sort of had some TV clips of what was happening on Monday. Tuesday, we drove from Atlanta to Camp Shelby, Mississippi. And Wednesday morning, I flew into New Orleans. And that first sight of flying over New Orleans east, seeing the homes already underwater to the rooftops out, and then passing the port and seeing dozens, maybe hundreds of yellow school buses and industrial equipment sitting at the port, but all you could see was just a little yellow top of them. Then proceeding to the Superdome, and we made 2 turns around the Superdome and looking down at those thousands of people standing out the Superdome. That sight will always stay with me.
And after seeing that, what thoughts or emotions or even feelings went through your mind seeing our city in that state?
This was going to be a logistics operation.
Yeah.
Provide food, water, and moving people out of the water, then moving the water out of the city. This was a major logistics operation. And something we're pretty good at in the military, working with the state and local officials, we could get this done. It was just a function, whether it was going to be hours or days.
What was the most difficult decision that you had to make during that time?
Well, after I talked to the mayor, I flew to Baton Rouge and had a warm greeting from our governor, and to get the evacuation done in New Orleans and provide food and water and medicine to people. That was a priority, which aligned with what the mayor was saying. We went about doing that. There had been some plans in place already. FEMA was already on the ground in Baton Rouge by Wednesday. FEMA director Michael Brown was there. And after I saw the governor, I went in and saw Administrator Brown in his command vehicle. And he welcomed me again and said, this is your seat. You're going to sit right next to me. And that was my first point of saying no.
Oh, wow.
Because he wanted me to stay in Baton Rouge with him, and I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going back to New Orleans. But we will put somebody here to make sure we got unity of command.
Yeah.
Because I was with the National Guard on the ground in New Orleans. They had a lead. They had a general there at the Superdome, so I could talk to him, and I could pick up the phone and talk to General Landreneau, the Adjutant General. And then I knew immediately one of the key pieces we were missing was the majority of the Louisiana National Guard was in Iraq. So we had to backfill that. We had a burden to do everything we could in the Department of Defense to help the state of Louisiana, because the National Guard had been mobilized to do combat operations in Iraq. We had to take care and do whatever we can to take care of the people of Louisiana and Mississippi. And dealing with that was a hard enough problem. The other thing was to balance the priority that the governor told me. She said, tell the president to send everything he's got. I had to do what the mission required, not necessarily the way it was asked for. That the priority was to get people out the city and not bring more people to the city.
Right.
Because everybody we would bring to the city while we're trying to evacuate would need food and water, because everything had to come in. With the river closed, most of the highways closed because of flooding, and the airport's closed. So you're either using helicopter or itty-bitty boats to get things where you need to. And we're still doing search and rescue. The president made his decision around 9 o'clock Saturday morning, and the federal troops started to flow in Saturday afternoon.
20 years ago and now, do you see that there have been any improvements made, or the disaster response?
Oh, absolutely. Katrina was a game changer. It was a game changer for states to work hard on evacuation. People saw the value of evacuation. People pay a lot of attention to that now The other big improvements I think were made is they put a flood protection system around the city of New Orleans, which means is a big upgrade to the levees, put some locks in. And then we doubled the size of FEMA after Katrina. Mm-hmm. And now FEMA has a reserve corps, and FEMA, during major disasters where it's a predicted event, like hurricanes and floods, they will do preparedness moves. They pre-deploy search and rescue teams. Mm-hmm. That technique was refined after Katrina. And FEMA started moving generators near the storm. Mm-hmm. That's the preparedness phase. So once the storm land and the response phase, and the governor said we need generators, food and water, and helicopters, they've already pre-positioned them.
So speaking of, communicating with the powers that be and offering your expertise, and do you think during the time of Katrina that you received a lot of opposition from political leaders at the time, or, they kind of went with your suggestions?
No, I mean, that was, I understood clearly my mission was to work for the politician. Mm-hmm. You work for the senior elected officials. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you give them what they needed, not necessarily what they asked for.
Sure. Yeah.
You with me? Or the way they wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. This whole aspect of focusing on security after Katrina, we were doing presence patrol for safety.
Yes.
But that gets the mission done without violating the law.
General, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, your wisdom, and you being here with me today.